Good evening. I'm Dave Kooker, known as the Kiwi Kooker, and today I spent a lot of time doing a lot of bird photography, so excuse my rough appearance, but after a long day of doing bird photography and cold, blustery weather, it's a good day to actually have a nice, warm, comfort food like French onion soup. So today I'm going to make French onion soup, which will take about an hour and 15 minutes. We'll condense it down to probably 15 minutes of video. So what I've done is I've chopped up 6 onions into half-inch pieces, because I really don't like my onions diced or really thin, because when you reduce them down and put them in a soup, you still want a little bit of a crunch or a little bit of texture of the onion. So that's why I keep them thick. So I'm going to put them into a stainless steel pot. So, sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing here with the pot, but I have 4 tablespoons of salted butter, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm going to put in the onions. And also, to be nice and stinky, because I like garlic. I like my garlic caramelized just like my onions. So, some people put in their garlic later for French onion soup, but for me, I'm going to put it in now because I like my garlic really roasted, caramelized. And I'm probably going to put, most people probably put in 1 tablespoon or teaspoon. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon because I really like my flavors, or strong flavors, in French onion soup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reduce this down to a nice caramelized texture to give it a nice strong punch. And typically I caramelize my onions for 20 minutes. But for this large amount of onions, it's probably going to take realistically 30 minutes on a medium to high heat. So I'll get back to you in 30 minutes and I'll tell you the progress, and we can go on to the next steps. Okay. Alright, on medium to high heat, the onions are still caramelizing, but they're not quite done for my liking. They're looking pretty brown, and the pan's looking kind of black here at the bottom, which is good because you want that caramelized stuff at the bottom, because we're going to pick that up later. Yes, one thing about cooking is I'm hard and fast about my ingredients. I'm not hard and fast about my time, because it's funny, with onions and other ingredients, you can cook them at 30 minutes or 35 minutes, and then they're done. There just doesn't seem to be any consistent science of why onions cook at 30 minutes versus 35 or 40. But these onions seem to be not wanting to cook like I want them to cook. So I want to cook them for another 5 minutes, and then we'll get started on the next step. I just want to reiterate the fact that with time, when you're cooking, you want to pay more attention to the look and the texture of the ingredients than you really do the time of the recipe, because of that, you actually get better results. Alright, much better. 5 minutes later, makes all the difference in the world for a good caramelized onion. I don't really like my onions caramelized. I don't like them uncooked for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in teaspoon of Himalayan salt, some thyme, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, because I like Italian seasoning, and 2 bay leaves. And I'm going to put that in now, because I like the heat to actually break those seasonings down, because the high heat, and, ooh, you just smell that. This just punches you in the face. The high heat and seasonings really comes out nice. Wow, like that. Also, one thing you have to do is with the caramelized onions, because in the garlic there's a lot of sugar in their composition, and because of that, you got to scrape that caramelized flavor and the sugars off the pan and get it back into the dish. And to do that, you're going to want a half a cup of, I don't know, you can use white wine, but I like a good red wine. I like red wine because it has a little bit more of a flavor for my liking. A Pinot Noir is a really nice cooking wine for my worldview. And the good thing about wine is there's something about wine that actually helps you scrape the flavors off the pan, which have been cooked onto the pan. Now, I wish I could show you, but there's something about wine that hits, when it hits that sugar and those baked in flavors in the pan, and it just loosens them right up. And it's almost like Teflon. You can actually just smell that to wine cook. Wine makes a really nice background flavor to food. So that's why I always like using a Pinot Noir and as a background flavor. What I do now is I'm going to scrape this pan for about 5 minutes. Get those flavors off the pan and back into the recipe. You'll cook the onions a little bit more. It releases the smell of those seasonings I just put in there. I want to do this for another 5 minutes, then I'll get to the next step. Okay, after 5 minutes of scraping the bottom of the pot, it saves the camera groupie a lot of cleaning time. Everything's loose and the flavor's back in the pot. And the onions now, nice kind of a reddish brown flavor with all the seasonings. We're going to add a quarter cup of flour. Flour actually adds a nice creamy texture to the soup. Get that cooking now. We want that to add evenly to the onions. And what I want to add now is I've added 2 teaspoons of good sherry, 6 cups of beef broth, and 1 bouillon cube of beef broth, because the bouillon adds a nice punch to the flavor. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put this into a high boil for about 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. And also it cleans up the pot pretty nice. And then after it gets to a boil, I'm going to let this slow simmer for 30 minutes. After that, so it's like 38 minutes. So I'm going to let this simmer for about 38 minutes, boil and simmer. And 10 minutes prior to this being done, I'm going to bake some bread. So right now, I'm going to put the oven on to 180 Celsius, get it up and running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these nice little baguettes or rolls into nice little pieces. Make them nice and toasted and charred. And once this the solution, the simmer, gets to a nice reduced consistency, I'm going to put the toast, I'm going to put the sauce and the cheese together, and we'll put it in the oven and braise it. So for right now, it's just, have a gin and tonic, wait 28 minutes, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, we're 29 minutes or 28 minutes into the boil. I've been scrubbing the bottom of the pan to make sure that it's clean, because the liquid actually does break up the hard onion caramelized flavors off the pot. We want charred, toasted pieces of bread. I like bread with a crust on all sides. So we're going to put this in the oven at 180 degrees. And we're going to watch that, because hard and fast, there's no rules on toasting bread. One thing about the French onion soup is you want a nice, almost like a brown gravy type of consistency to it. And since it's 10 minutes prior to cooking or putting in the oven, you want to taste it. And I guess for my liking, I like mine a little bit more of a salty flavor, so just put a little bit more salt. And I want some black pepper in mine. And typically at this time, 10 minutes prior to cooking or being done, I put a tablespoon of Worcester sauce in my French onion soup, because I like a little bit of that zest, spice taste to it. I guess with a good cook, you don't want to flavor or season too soon. You want everything to cook together first and make sure how it comes together. Meat can actually have a lot too much salt in it. Other flavors can come from other ingredients. So 10 minutes prior to actually having it done, that's when you really want to taste for the last time and say, yeah, too salty, too pepper, and you can always fix that. But for my, situation, let's try it one more time after we put in the salt. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I like that little bit of extra salt bite to it. And actually, while we're doing it, we're filming. I'm going to make sure that I get, I talked about 2 bay leaves in it. So I'm going to fish these out now. And then I guess I'll hunt for the other one. It's going to be here somewhere. You really don't want anybody to bite into those. Even though they add a lot of flavor to the area. Here's the second one. Get rid of that one. And I'm going to watch the toasted bread. So I'll let this cook for another 10 minutes. It's getting really close to a nice consistency of like a brown gravy. It has all the flavors. If you look at the pan, there's nothing stuck to the pan now because all this slow simmer. And we'll get close to putting it in pots, and then we're going to put it back in the oven and braise it with a nice, I guess you call it a nice golden brown cheese crust on top, which really makes the soup. Oh, excuse me, that's too much gin. But yeah, wait 10 minutes and I'll get right back to you. Alright, we have some nice toasted pieces of bread. The soup is looking really nice. Nice and thick like brown gravy. And with the salt and pepper, oh, it's perfect. Alright, so let me get a few more ingredients together here, and I'll show you how I actually piece the soup together, and then we'll put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes to braise. Okay, here's a pre-made French onion soup that is ready to go into the oven, but I probably should show you how it's actually done. For me, in this bowl, 5 pieces of toasted bread, and let's put a few scoops of French onion soup in here. Like that. And we'll put a few slices. I like Edam cheese. You know, I know it's not a French cheese, but I do like this Edam cheese because it's not greasy. Some of these cheeses can be quite greasy. And I really don't like pools of grease in my food, to be honest with you. So we actually have, here we have the bread, the French onion soup, and now we have the cheese. And where's my, okay. Since the oven's still hot at 180 degrees Celsius, also, I'm going to put some more cheese, Parmesan cheese, because I really like Parmesan cheese on my soup, because it gives a little bit more of a nice punch. Because Edam can be kind of bland, but it's a nice creamy cheese. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these 2 bowls of soup into the oven. And here we go. At 180 Celsius degrees. I'm going to leave them in there for about probably 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit more, we'll have to see. But typically after about 10 minutes, you get a nice crispy crust on the onion soup. Because I love crispy cheese crust, it's just awesome. And off the camera, I'm going to make another 2 soups here for tomorrow night because I'm lazy. I like to cook for more than me because I cook every night. But I'll come back to you in about 10 minutes and we'll check this French onion soup. After 10 minutes, let's go look at these French onion soups. And they're getting close, but not quite ready. I think another 2 minutes, they'll be ready. We can put these 2 in and cook those for probably the same amount of time. So I'm thinking these guys are going to cook for about 13 minutes and not 10 minutes. It's just those variables of cooking. You just have to watch it and just see what happens. Okay, now 3 minutes has gone by. Let's check on these French onion soups. They're looking pretty good. Oh, nice and nice and broiling. Oh, let's pull this up. There's a pulse on that. I'll put the other 2 in just a second. But you can hear that? There's a nice crunch. Oh, nice and hot. It's like white napalm. It's like the military. And alright, let's let this cool for about 5 minutes. then we'll dig into it and we'll give it the last result. But while that's cooling down, I'm going to put these other two in. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Alright, French onion soup's cooled down for about 10 minutes. So I have 2 more cooking. But good God, this is like white napalm. It's still hot. Oh. Some of those onions, nice. Cheese, oh, just beautiful. This is awesome. I can taste bread, toasted bread, and the juice when it cooked in the oven for about 13 minutes. That's just beautiful, just beautiful. So, French onion soup, takes a while to cook. It's not very labor intensive, but it does warm up an old, cold house. And it actually warms up your old bones if you're cold. And it's awesome comfort food. So, oh wow, I'm enjoying this. Sorry about that. So next week, I'll come up with another recipe that I have, but at the moment I'm just savoring this French onion soup, and it's just too good. But next week, I'll come up with something good, and I'll take you through it. So see you next week.